Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another fabulous show of Life by Randy. And it's fabulous because we have the fabulous Stacy Newman here with us. Hi, Stacy, welcome.
Hi, Randy. Thanks for having me.
You are welcome. This is Stacy Newman number 3. I'm going to be numbering them on YouTube, or I have numbered them on YouTube, so that you can follow along with us. And we have such great information to share today regarding grounding. And grounding is by viewer request. What is grounding? What happens when we aren't grounded? And how to ground? What are those techniques that Stacy uses to help her clients ground? But before we get into the substance of all that, some of you may be familiar with Stacy if you've been tuning in regularly to Life by Randy. And if you haven't, and this is your first time here, joining us for some great conversation about energetics and healing and working with the divine, co-creating your best life in joy for this journey. Stacy is Eden Energy trained. She's trained in Chinese medicine. She is a intuitive energy medicine practitioner. Stacy has worked on me, currently works on me. We work together in this structure that I have in my physical body, and certainly my spiritual and energetic being we've worked with, and miraculously, supernaturally, Stacy helped me just recently walk through a stage 4 disease diagnosis. I was diagnosed, if you don't know my story, and it's on my website at lifebyrandy.com as well. But I was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer metastasized to the bones, where palliative care was the only medical treatment that was recommended. And I knew that by working with Stacy and working with another guest on Life by Randy, Mary Mazer, and a few other amazing healers, we were going to be able to walk through this to complete health. And in April, 5 months after my diagnosis, I had a PET scan where I'm entirely cancer-free. And even the breast tumor is gone. So we want to share the story of how we did that. And that kind of energetic living is available for all of us. The outcome is might be different for everyone, but that outcome for me, being disease-free, was one that was on the optimal timeline that we drew to ourselves, and with Stacy's help. So I've decided to create this YouTube channel and share with you one of my number one treasures, which is Stacy. And so Stacy's worked on treasured members of my family, many of my friends, and I refer anyone and everyone to the fabulous Stacy Newman for all kinds of healing. So Stacy, why don't you say a few words about who you are and what you do before we get into the subject of grounding?
All right. Thank you. My name's Stacy Newman. My business is Sweet Energies. You can find me on Facebook under Sweet Energies or at sweetenergies.net, where you can read more about my story. But I came to energy medicine as a client with life-threatening allergies. And through a process of working on the energetics of my resiliency and also the emotional component, eventually I cleared every allergy I've ever had. And I'm eating foods that would have closed my throat and killed me. So life is good. I can talk about you again. So.
And now your life's work is to work with others and help heal them, or help us heal ourselves, right?
Absolutely. It is about activating your inner healer. Everyone can do it. Everyone has access to this innate knowledge when we can get past what we're taught about having to rely on an outside source. It all comes from within, and I'm just helping show you the way and help you regain some balance and be able to thrive. So I love this work. It has been phenomenal. This year has been really interesting in that every session I do right now is done remotely. I can tune into your energies from anywhere in the world. And I have clients who really feel what's going on. They know exactly what I'm doing. And I do talk when I do the work. So you know what's happening. And as we get through a session, I will share techniques that you can use to continue the work and restore your balance. So.
And the beautiful work that you do, when I first discovered you about 10 years ago now, your business model is such that you don't want necessarily repeat customers, right? Repeat clients. You want to teach us to and empower each one that you work on to do it for themselves, which is so beautiful and so giving and so selfless, but it's the ways of the universe. And you've not wanted, let's just say, right? As the more you give, the more you get.
I do feel that I am in the flow of abundance now. And it's beautiful. Being taught by Donna Eden and was wonderful. And her motto is raising the vibration of the planet one person at a time. And we need to help people and get them to move on and refer the next. So, because there's always an abundance of people who need help with this.
Absolutely.
I'm doing my part of it. And I have so much gratitude to be able to offer this to the world.
Oh, and I personally have so much gratitude to you, as does my husband and my entire family. So, and my circle of friends, including you. And so thank you, Stacy. And those that what I'll do, we'll put the links below to you, sweetenergies.net. You're also on Facebook as Sweet Energies. Could put the Donna Eden link so that people can familiarize themselves with Eden energy medicine. You've also been trained by Ellen Meredith. And I like to call it your own hybrid of the Eden energy, the Chinese medicine, and your special and keen intuitive abilities to tap into people's energies and really help them make a difference. So you do have your own unique brand, which I personally believe is going to go global, and it's much needed globally. And so I'm privileged that before you are well known globally, you're on Life by Randy. So I got you first.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that we can segue into the topic of grounding by viewer request. I also want to invite viewers to email or put in the comments if there's a topic that if you want a particular topic that you would like to learn about, or you would like Stacy and I to expound on, feel free. We take requests, and this is by viewer request. And it's so important. It's almost like a triple warmer discussion. It's so important that we're going to break it down and leave it with a part one with a Life by Randy cliffhanger before we go to part two in grounding. So, Stacy, what is grounding exactly, and why is it important to know what it is?
All right. So, grounding is your physical connection to the earth. Like a magnet, you have a North Pole and a South Pole. And so does the earth, and so does everything else. If your polarity has reversed, and say your head is registering as south instead of north, and your feet are opposite, you're going to be repelled from the earth, and you won't have access to that nourishing energy that is your birthright by being a creature of the earth. So it helps your connections. It also helps the energetic flow through your body. The energy needs to be able to enter every cell. And if your polarity is off, it gets blocked and there's no flow. So
we have a polarity. So this, going back to the beginning, we are energetic beings. It does not go to our, again, I wasn't a science major, political science, but not science. And so we have the electrons, right? So we've got the protons, the neutrons, the electrons. We fire, right, our electrons in our atoms, from what I recall of seventh grade science or something like that. I mean, it's very profound that we are electrically charged beings, right?
And our nervous system is entirely electric. And that's how the messages get from synapse to synapse. It's an electrical charge. And the electrics, there are different levels of energy that can be sensed, and the electrics are actually the most tangible. They can register on equipment, and you can feel it with your hands. And then there's more subtle layers that go beyond, that are much harder to read scientifically and take more training or experience to read psychically. But this electrical energy is very physical, and it relates to our polarity and connection to the earth.
Okay, and so what's polarity? Having established we're electrical beings, right? Those synapses that fire, that is from electrical sparks or charges. We can, static electricity from a hairbrush, right? We could touch someone and we can spark. Is that what you're talking about? Just practical signs of the electricity within us, right?
Yeah, it is electric. It's the same energy. And just like a house needs their wiring grounded so that things don't short out if there's a lightning strike, our bodies need to be open. Our polarity to the earth, our connection to the earth needs to be open like our personal lightning rod, so that any extra energy that builds up in our body can release back down into the earth.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. So before we get to releasing that mm-hmm. electricity, what is this polarity that you spoke about? And is it the left side versus the right side? Is it the masculine energy and the feminine energy? Is it what flips? What does that look like?
Not so much the yin and yang of right and left and masculine, feminine. Okay. It is plus minus. It is the on and off. It is the poles on a battery, the positive and negative.
Okay.
So it really is electric. And there's no real qualities associated with this plus and minus.
Okay.
Whereas with yin and yang, there are qualities. Okay. So, and we can go into that in some other talk.
So, that's just another idea for another show.
So, but you want the bottom of your feet to register as south of a magnet. So when it touches the ground, here's the earth, and the surface of the earth is north. Here's the bottom of your foot, my hand anyways. So when these are connecting, just like you put north and south of magnet together, they stick, they're strong.
Okay.
But if your polarities have flipped or frozen, you may be like this, and they repel. Mm-hmm. And there is no good connection. There's no way to release that extra energy that's built up in your body.
And so what causes us to flip? I know when you've worked on me in the past, every now and then you're saying I'm flipped. My polarity is flipped. What are some of the causes of that flipping? How do what causes our polarity to flip? And then what does it feel like when that polarity is flipped?
Okay. So stress is the number one cause, because it can just lock down your energies. Like nothing gets in. Your stress response is trying to protect you, and it ungrounds you. You can also being on an airplane, our bodies weren't meant to be so high up in the air, especially for extended periods of time. So when you land, you really want to get your bare feet on the ground, do everything you can to reconnect to that earth. Also electrical energy, Wi-Fi, going through every room we walk in, every space we're in, can impact your polarity. Now, the beauty of working with energy medicine and building your energetic resiliency is it will affect you less and less. That you can evolve your energies to be in these situations without losing your grounding. So, but coming back to grounding exercise is always very, very helpful. It's very healing. And it reminds our bodies that we are connected to the earth, that we are creatures of this earth. And that's our nourishment and our support and safety. So now things that can happen when we're not grounded for a long time, sometimes that feels like anxiety. It's very jangly energy, and it backs up into the system, and it can go through your stomach, it can go to your heart, it can go into your head, and it disrupts your nervous system. And a lot of people end up on medication for anxiety, and chances are they're not grounded. So I don't recommend quitting your medication cold turkey, but I do recommend start doing the grounding exercises and see if you can back off and reestablish that connection, because it is so supportive to your physical and mental well-being.
And does grounding actually have when you ground, or and you're going to show us some techniques and demonstrate some techniques for us to do for grounding ourselves. Can we flush out toxins through grounding even? Can we reduce inflammation through grounding? Think it's that key to our physical well-being is this concept of grounding. Mm-hmm. Is that some of the benefits? Is that what happens during grounding?
I believe it does help with inflammation. So that would depend on the source and if there's another energetic imbalance going on, but it can definitely help. And especially a lot of foot pain and swelling around the ankles is because it's your energies trying to escape that extra build, trying to leave, and it can't. So being able to ground is going to help that tremendously. As far as other types of things that are going on or ways it can help, a lot of it depends. It's very individual. So
sure.
I never look at a symptom and say this is the cause, because it's so individual. But grounding really is a key for our overall health. It's important to everyone who has a body.
Wow. And so could you explain this connection that we have then to Mother Earth and, this beautiful planet that supports us? And how is it that we've lost touch with this, the love of Earth, actually. And we're so often on computers and the smartphones. And you told me many years ago the dangers of Wi-Fi in the house, and to turn off the Wi-Fi even at night, give yourself a break. I mean, you've been onto this for many, many years. And that this, the grounding or the lack of it is enhanced by all the devices. Why is that? Does it drain the electricity from us, or what does that look like? Or interferes, I guess, might be.
I think it interferes more, but I think the fact that we're not getting outside as much, we're not connecting to the earth, we're not getting our hands in the dirt, we're not growing our own food anymore. So my garden is my go-to for grounding. It's
beautiful.
If nothing else works, when I'm in the garden, I don't need many energy exercises. It heals. There's so many indigenous healing modalities that everything comes back to the earth and our connection to it. And we forget that. And especially it's the younger generations have grown up with TV and smartphones, and let's just sit and not get out and move our bodies and connect to the earth. Or sometimes that moving of the bodies is so competitive, it's sports oriented,
Right.
that it doesn't necessarily allow you to slow down and receive and just be. And we really need that time for ourselves to be in nature and connect on a much bigger level than just having our feet on the ground.
And what you're saying is a message that I've been hearing resoundingly, specifically the last 6 months and more even in the last 3 months, is this call to the outside, call to the outdoors, call to the woods, the trees. There's so much information now about nature and the beauty and the wisdom that trees provide us, and the grounding, just by being next to a tree, the grounding that happens, right? Could you explain that?
I can try. So one of my favorite things to do when I'm outside, just being careful to check for ticks afterwards, is find a favorite tree and do something called a hook up. Now, this is from Donna Eden. And you put a finger at the third eye and you put a finger at the navel. Let's see if we can show you that. This wasn't one I was going to show, but here, it's so wonderful. But you do this and you push into the navel and pull up a bit. And with your back against a tree, you can feel yourself rooting as deeply as the tree does, and it being expansive into the sky with the branches. It's just incredible. And that connection is so easy to make.
Now, is there, from a practical perspective, how long does that take? How long should one be there? I know probably as long as one feels, right? But
yes,
right. I need to say that. But if you're dinner, like, a minute,
after a minute to a minute and a half, you may feel yourself take a big sigh or just release or yawn. I yawn a lot with energy movement, and stay with it just a few moments longer. And that's really, or as long as you can, realistically. But when you feel that shift, you feel a release, or sometimes with a hookup, you just feel like you've come back to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Just be in that feeling for another 20, 30 seconds. So give it up to 2 minutes or so. And sometimes when you're new to this, you may not feel it right away. And some people will experience that knowing differently. They might just know in their minds, hey, I'm really connected, or see it, or some people even smell things when energy shifts. So it's all very individual. So just be open-minded about what that connection does to your perception. So,
or one might yawn a lot. I've known to do that when the energy is shifting.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's very common.
Right. Stomach gurgling, yawning a lot, maybe tears in your eyes, the release of the cortisol.
Yes.
These are my personal experiences with the energy shifting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And people experience it in different ways. So just tune in to how you feel before and after, and you'll notice the difference.
Okay. So that's the first technique. Is there another technique you could share with us?
Actually, that was a bonus technique because it wasn't even on my list.
Okay.
But we're going to go to the crown pull. So one of the less obvious parts of grounding is that your head needs to be open. Your crown needs to be open, just like your feet need to be open, because your polarity is both sides of the magnet. So if your crown is locked down, there's nowhere for the energy that comes up the body needs to come out and release. It makes this great big torus field. And the heart has a huge torus field. So when your crown's stuck shut, that also makes your thoughts repeat and
Mm.
can impact your mood and your ability to think clearly. So this is called the crown pull, and it's one of Donna Eden's exercises. So we start with our fingers here, and you're going to push in. And with some pressure, just pull across your forehead, shake it off. And then we're going to go up midline with some pressure. And you're just making space for energy to move. And we're going all the way down the back of the head and to the neck. And you can go slower than this. Then we want to hang on.
Yeah.
Shoulders. So if you can see, sorry, where your middle finger wants to land on your shoulders, you just want to dig in a little bit and stay there for a breath or two.
It's one of my personal favorites. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Calming triple warmer with this.
Yeah.
And then pull down, and you can take it to your heart. And then let it go. So that will open the crown. It's really good to do before you go to sleep. If you're stuck thinking about your day or what's coming up, that can really help just release those repetitive thoughts and help you get night's sleep. So that is part of grounding. And I love addressing that before we get to your feet. Is just a soup spoon. You're just going to take a stainless steel spoon, and on the bottom of your foot, you're just going to rub it back and forth. And you can make figure eights, a little hard to do with this pillow in the way, or circles, whatever feels good. Just use the back of the spoon. This will restore the polarity to both feet. It restores the polarity in your entire system. So it will reconnect you to the earth and allow that extra electrical energy to be released. So keep one by your bed. It's a great thing for the morning and in the evening if you have trouble sleeping.
Yeah.
Then back to the foot. And let's see. Yeah, this might be better. Is that okay?
That's okay. Mm-hmm.
So the spaces between these metatarsals, these bones that go through your foot before they reach the toes, are called the gaits, Gaits. And energy can get stuck in here. So what you want to do is press in between, moving that energy towards the toes. This is called clearing the gaits. Wonderful. And it might be tender. Mm-hmm. So do it as firmly as you can stand. And it will get easier the more you do it. Mm-hmm. And you can massage the bottom of your feet, but you want to take each toe and just pull the energy off. Just like that. Okay. And you're going to both feet. You can do that with your hands as well. Let me readjust. Okay, we're unplugging the. Okay. Now,
with the hands, is that also for grounding? If
yes,
we do it with our hands too, that's also for grounding.
It will help with grounding. This also helps. It's wonderful when you actually do energy work on other people because stuff can get stuck here. Okay. But if your hands feel tight, this is a really great thing to do. You're just going between the bones, and you can go on the palm too, and twist off your fingers. Okay. It's exactly the same technique. And you do have minor chakras on the hands, which are energy centers. And this is how you can perceive and send and receive energy. And you do want that to be nice and open. Right. Especially when you're starting to work with your own energies, it will help you be more perceptive and start to feel what you're actually shifting. Okay. So I'm going to do two more that are impacting the entire body. So is this view okay?
It is. We've got you.
Okay. So we're going to do the belt flow because, like I said before, we're too sedentary. We're constantly sitting. Or if you wear a belt, it can just block the energy. So this will help open you up. One of my teachers says it allows you to be grounded and inspired at the same time. So you start by rubbing just the small of your back. And we're going to pull across 3 times with some pressure. So you want to feel it. And send it down the opposite leg. And then go to the other side and do the same thing.
Now, Stacy, is there something that we should be visualizing as we do this, or?
I don't know if you need a visualization with this, but you could with the belt flow, since you're clearing this energy that's stuck here. If you want to try to lose some belly fat, imagine that that's going out your hands and into the earth.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now this one is called Connecting Heaven and Earth. And it kind of makes your body a conduit between above and below and really establishes that connection. And it actually flows right through the heart. So it's really empowering and loving. It's one of my favorite things to do. So you rub your hands together, shake them off, them on your thighs. And again, this one's from Donna Eden. All of these are anyway. So feel your feet on the ground. Feel your connection. Bring your hands together. And I hope you can see this. We'll try. So you're going to breathe in, hold your breath. You're reaching up to the sky with your hand flat to the ceiling. Other hand flat to the ground. Holding your breath. And you come back to center. And we do the other side. And this is great for the joints as well.
Mm.
So any kind of joint issues you've got, this is the best exercise. But you're just feeling that connection, that you are connecting the heavens, but you are still grounded.
Okay. I'm definitely going to start doing that one again for my joints and bones as they're healing.
And then you bend at the waist and you just hang down as far as you can. You need to bend your knees a little, that's fine. And you take a couple breaths. When you're ready, you come back up, making figure eights with your hands. They can cross or they can go side by side, however you like it, but you're extending into your field, connecting to your aura, placing yourself in this lovely bubble of light and protection.
Wonderful.
I love that. That is my go-to for so many things.
Yeah, I remember. You sharing that with me years ago.
Yes.
And I could do that after this when I go outside to take a picture for the thumbnail. And I'm going to do that exactly. That exercise. The sun came out here in Cleveland and we're just down the road. Well, in Bracknell, you're down the road in Lakewood. So how wonderful, Stacy, that you are showing all of us what it looks like to do energy work and how that we can integrate and incorporate these techniques in our daily lives, right?
Yes. And you can do this seated. So if you have mobility issues, just do it in a chair.
Okay.
Every energy exercise is adaptable to your needs. And if you find that you're just exhausted, do them in your mind.
Wow.
And it will help. It will shift your energy.
Wonderful. Thank you. Those are tremendous techniques that you shared with us. And again, we'll put the Donna Eden links below as well. And I know there's a number of books and a couple websites and
there's so much.
YouTube. There is so much. But thank you for breaking this down for us and and the top techniques for grounding. Is that,
Yes.
have we gotten to the five and the bonus one?
Worse for them, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because the bonus was that hook up against a tree.
Wonderful.
So, mhm.
And so these are really what's called the energetics of grounding. What is grounding? Why we need grounding? And for a deeper dive into how the lack of grounding actually manifests as disease in our bodies is for the cliffhanger episode 2, part 2 of this, right? Because you
Yeah.
and I briefly spoke about cancer, we spoke about diabetes, and a whole host of other diseases, really, that could be sparked by this lack of grounding. Is that right? Did I get that right?
You did. You did. So we're going to call it grounding into the earth element. So we'll talk about how the earth element from Chinese medicine is involved in your body processes and your emotional well-being. And being able to connect to the earth is step one in connecting to grounding.
Wow. Wonderful. And so now, for the viewers that are really very new to this energy medicine, the roots of it and the infrastructure of it is Chinese medicine, which is thousands and thousands of years old, right?
Mhm.
And an understanding of the body and the meridian system, right?
Yes.
And the energetics of who we really are versus the very recent Western medicine model with the pharmaceuticals and quick diagnostics, fixing symptoms versus root causes. That is a new phenomenon, if you will, in the course of human history, right? So this is just carrying on that which has always been a part of many cultures going forward for thousands and thousands of years. So this is not new, this is ancient, but
Right.
it's new, I'm
wanna,
sure, to many of the viewers.
yeah, I do want to mention it's not just the Chinese. The Chinese is one lineage and system. There's Ayurveda, that's just as ancient from India. There are all the shamanic traditions worldwide. There's a wonderful teacher who's a Peruvian shaman. Actually, I believe he's it's Alberto Villoldo, and he's basically moved to Peru, but he was trained by Peruvian shamans.
Well,
and has shared their work beautifully. And what you find is that the energy systems and what people who see energy see the same thing throughout the world. So when Donna created Connecting Heaven and Earth, she did so intuitively, but then as she was studying, she's like, but this shows up all over the world in artistic depictions. So there is something absolutely universal about energy medicine.
beautiful. And many, many are being called more and more to energy medicine. There's really this great awakening happening that we've talked about on Life by Randy in other episodes, and specifically with Mary Mazer, that this great awakening happening, and people's hearts and spirits and souls are tuning in and opening up in greater and greater ways in this ascension process. And so it's so exciting that you and I have been working for the last 10 years. And when I got my diagnosis of stage 4 cancer, you were my first call walking out the Cleveland Clinic, to be honest. Maybe I called my husband first. I don't know. It could have been you first. and you said this
you were in the parking garage when I picked up
the phone. I was in the parking.
Yeah.
Yes. And I screenshot the text, and this is for, maybe a book down the road. And you said, this is a messenger. Stay open and loving and curious. And that's the message of it all, Stacy. And so it is, and it's been such a fascinating journey to be walking on this with you the last 10 years. And then through this exciting time of you helping me self-heal and turning it all around. And then just so much more to come. so much more to come, not only for me, for you, but for really the space that we're all entering into. So thank you so much for sharing, and I'll lovingly give you the last word to wrap it up. And
Okay.
parting thoughts, and on grounding, on energetics, on the cliffhanger coming up.
Okay. Well, I so greatly appreciate this platform. It's exciting. It's wonderful that you're reaching people all over the world who have these issues and are curious about how a diagnosis is not a sentence.
Yes.
So
It's just a message. It has a message, right?
yeah. Mhm. And staying open and curious is so important. So, but I'm excited about our upcoming talk. I love talking about the Chinese 5 element theory, and we're going to take a deep dive into the earth element and how that will help manifest things good and negative in your body, and how to work with it to bring yourself in better balance and trust.
Wonderful. And we all need that. Stacy, you are a gem. Thank you so much for sharing your time, your wisdom, your giftings with not only me and all at Life by Randy, but the world, the universe. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I love this.
And
I love you, Randy.
you. I love you, Stacy. Talk to you soon. Part 2
Yes.
coming up soon.
Fabulous.
Take care. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks.